Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Kansas City.
The New York Yankees have the most World Series titles in the history of baseball, 27. But they do not possess the current crown. That belongs to the Royals. And the Royals clinched the championship last season here in New York, across town against the Mets. And now they come to Yankee Stadium as the defending champs. The Royals make their first visit back to New York as world champions next. Royals baseball from the Bronx, New York. It's the Royals and the Yankees, and the first of 4 tonight. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre with former Yankee great Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Both teams are hoping to turn their seasons around. The Royals have lost 9 of 12. The Yankees have lost 8 of 11. Usually when you come here, the first thought is, well, even if the Yankees aren't playing well, they're probably hitting home runs. Not this year.
They're not the Bronx Bombers that everybody's used to with the short porch and right and all, but they have been stealing some bags. But lost 8 out of the last 11 games, 25 home runs, second fewest in the AL. Look, this is not what they're used to, but this is good. The Royals want to take 3 out of 4 in this series here if they can. If they do, I think that's going to get their whole team back where they want to be.
The Royals are not yet firing on all cylinders, but one of the cylinders is starting to fire again, and that's the offense.
And that's a needed commodity. They got to score runs in the American League, there's no doubt. And then Lorenzo Cain and company have picked it up with runners in scoring position. They're starting to get those hits by shortening up their swing. No one's trying to hit it out of the park, and that's not the signature of this ball club. Power is not their game, but extra bases are. Lorenzo Cain's been hot. Hosmer, wow, that little 2-strike approach when he gets on his toe, watch out. He's looking good. He's got a 7-gamer. Alex Gordon all of a sudden has got a 5-game hitting streak, and the reason why, Ryan, they're using the opposite field. Sometimes when you struggle, you try to pull, but now they're getting it right.
Chris Young will start game 1 for the Royals. Ivan Nova will pitch for the Yankees. And while it may not be the Bronx Bombers, it's New York. It's the bright lights. And we'll have the first of 4 coming up between the Royals and the Yankees right after this. Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And it's a very nice night in New York, right around 70 degrees. Partly cloudy, going to cool off a little bit tomorrow, but as for now, there is no rain in the forecast over the next 4 days. And a small gathering here for the 11 and 18 Yankees, who got through a lot of injuries last year. They advanced to the wild card game and then of course lost to the Astros right here in New York, and that sent the Astros in the division series with the Royals. Let's take a look at the Royals lineup tonight against Yankee right-hander Ivan Nova, and we showed you at the top of the broadcast all the Royals hitters who are starting to heat up. Omar Infante is back in the lineup tonight. He'll be at second base. Christian Colon started all 3 games in the Cleveland series. Cheslor Cuthbert still in there at third. He'll bat 8th, and Gerard Dyson will hit 9th. Right-hander Ivan Nova, 29 years old, big guy, 6'5". He is making his first start of the season after beginning the year in the bullpen.
That's right. Well, you know, he's got 3 pitches that he uses, but out of the bullpen, he was only using his fastball and his curveball. He's got a changeup, but we'll have to see him. He'll have to incorporate the changeup in order to keep these guys off balance. His fastball, he'll go 91 to 94 miles an hour with a little bit of run and a little sink to it.
He is waiting on the ceremonial first pitch, and a young man, young lady who are flanking, I believe, Reggie Jackson down there.
It is
Mr. October. No pressure. Chase Headley is the catcher on the left. And now poor Ivan Nova. He just wants to get warmed up and get going here.
They're not sure where to throw from.
Right.
Reggie's saying, come on, you got to move back a little bit. Let it go.
Now that's a balk. Very nice.
Steve. Nova's saying, okay, guys, anytime.
Yeah, congratulations.
I got some money to make here.
Don't let me get in the way.
Right.
Nova last year was coming off of Tommy John surgery, which he had in 2014. So that's one of the reasons why he started out of the bullpen. He has not had recent success as a starter. He has not thrown more than 56 pitches in a game this year, and we expect him to be somewhere around 70 or 75 tonight. Here are the Yankees defensively. The Yankees, by some of the numbers, are not having a very good year. They are -16 in defensive run save. They have Gardner, Hicks, and Ackley in the outfield. Headley, Gregorius, Torreyes at second, Teixeira at first, Brian McCann behind the plate. So count them, 1 player on the field from the Yankees organization.
Yep.
And our umpiring crew, that's the crew chief, Ted Barrett, in his 19th year. The Reverend Edward George Barrett, with Angel Hernandez at first base, Sean Barber at second, Will Little is the umpire at third. Room temperature 72 degrees in the Bronx, New York. It was very windy when we arrived today, and that wind was blowing out toward left field. It's died down a little bit, but could still be a factor. Anything hit high in the air to left or to left center, and you need some help in this ballpark when you're talking about left center field. It is 399 feet. So we're ready for baseball. Alcides Escobar was 3 out of 12 in the Cleveland series with a run scored. He swings at the first pitch. Headley was playing in at third, and across the diamond in time, one away. So Lorenzo Cain didn't have a chance to get many warm-up swings in. Didn't have a chance to get any of the adhesive on his handle.
And he looked at Hosmer and said, well, I'm not going to swing at the first pitch. Eske did, so he's going to take one. So Nava, it'll be interesting to see if he mixes in all three of his pitches. Mainly just all season so far, fastball, curveball. They need to jump on him. Get him early. Don't let him get confident at all.
Let me ask you something, Hud. Now, Cain looked like he was taking all the way. And maybe that was his plan before the game even started. But I wonder, when Escobar swings at the first pitch of the game and makes an out, does the next guy feel like he's got to take a pitch so that Nova doesn't have a really quick, easy inning?
Most of the time, and especially the first inning, you want to see as many as you can. Now, Escobar, we all know how he likes to swing at that first pitch. But the more pitches you can see in the first inning, the better you are for your next time through. So, yeah, when Eske swings that first one, it's a good chance Moose or Cain, whoever's hitting that 2-hole, is not going to be swinging.
And that could be the best pitch they see.
So far, it was, out of the 3 Lorenzo's seen.
Lorenzo has hit safely in 9 of his last 10 games and has added 59 points to his batting average. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Nava's ahead. He uses the curve.
A little bit outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Last year the Yankees went 4-2 against the Royals. The Royals took 2 out of 3 from New York at Kauffman Stadium, but boy, did the Yankee bats come to life when the Royals were here right around Memorial Day last year. They swept the Royals in 3 games and they hit 8 home runs. And there's a base hit left field for Lorenzo Cain. So Lorenzo is now hit safely in 10 of his last 11 games.
Nice to see it. And we saw him in Cleveland get a couple hits on some curveballs, and now here's one that just says hit me right down the middle of the plate. It hung, started out about belt high and ended up thigh high. Good swing. Get it started.
And here's Eric Hosmer, who belted his 5th home run yesterday in Cleveland. And now Eric Hosmer has another hitting streak, a 7-game hitting streak after losing an 18-gamer just a few games ago. So he's hit safely in 25 of his last 26 games.
He's locked back in. Again, using the whole field. Hard to predict. Loves to take the high fastballs to the opposite field. Anything out over the middle of the plate, he'll go dead central, and he will pull, but he likes to use the opposite field more than we've seen, especially for his power.
On the ground right to Gregorius. He'll run to second and throw to first for an inning-ending double play. So Nova, the ground ball pitcher, gets all 3 of his outs on the ground in the top of the first. Off for the Yankees, off to a slow start offensively. 13th in the league in runs scored, but maybe the most surprising number, last in the league in slugging percentage and 13th in home runs, in a ballpark that really favors home runs, especially if you hit it up the lines. And they'll be facing Chris Young, 1-4 in 6 starts. He's pitched much better at home than he has on the road. And he's got to be careful to keep the ball down, or if he's going to be up, he's going to have to be up and a bit out of the strike zone in this ballpark.
He does have a lot of strikeouts. He's going mainly with his slider more than his fastball. His sliders, it keeps him off the fastball for the most part. You're right. He's got to be able to get ahead. That's going to be a big thing for him. He's got to get ahead of hitters, because when he falls behind, they sit on that fastball, and it won't take much to get it out of that 314 down the right field line.
Slider makes it 0-2 on Gardner. He has made 3 starts at Kauffman Stadium, 3.45, and 3 starts on the road, where he's winless with an ERA over 8. Fastball was up and hit to Gordon in left field. 1 away. And now Ford shows us the Royals defensively. Gordon, Kane, Dyson in the outfield. Cuthbert at third, made a couple of great plays yesterday. Escobar and Infante up the middle. Hosmer's at first, and Salvador Perez is behind the plate. And now Aaron Hicks in his first year with the Yankees, coming over in a trade during the offseason. We saw him with Minnesota. He and John Ryan Murphy, the catcher, switch teams, and Hicks is having a tough time in his first year with the Yankees, adding 122.
But you know, they do need some youth. Hicks is a young player, so they got to have some youth out there. This team, the Yankees overall's got some age on them. There's Chris Young now. You see, he's given up 4 home runs to both sides of the plate. That's been the only problem for him. Most of them haven't been really like 3-run homers. He's been giving up some solo shots, but they've hurt him in games. And with the Royals' offense down, they weren't able to pick him up.
Great spot, 3-2. And let's see how his fastball control is tonight, because all 8 of the home runs he has allowed this year have been with his fastball.
That's his game right there.
Cuthbert makes a play for the second out. And just to compare to last year, Chris Young allowed only 8 home runs on his fastball the entire season, and now the first 8 this year have been with the fastball. There's the breakdown you're talking about.
More sliders than fastballs, and you don't see that. But for Chris Young, 6'10", he's a deceptive style of pitcher. He's got some movement. Looks like tonight he's got good movement. He's a little two-seam working on there. We're talking with his pitching coach Dave Island before the game. He said, you know, his head is important. His head's been pulling off the ball a little bit, along with his shoulder, and he's leaving some pitches that are hittable. And leaving it up, he says the head and the shoulder have to be in line with the plate with Salvador Perez in order for him to locate where he needs to locate. Head and shoulders. And you know, he's right. Hitters same way. You know, the head pulls off, so does the body. I mean, they're very similar. But he really told me the importance of Chris Young.
Brian McCann, right center field, deep. Kane didn't quite get it. So that's the 9th home run allowed by Chris Young. And Brian McCann gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead.
Didn't know if it had enough. Thought that was going to be another pop-up, but You know, that short porch out there and right, that's all these left-handed hitters try to do. Lorenzo Cain thought he had it timed. Missed it by about a foot.
Slider for a strike to Mark Teixeira. And by the way, that would not have been fan interference, even if the ball had hit the fan's cap, because it looked like the fan kept that cap on his side of the wall. So once you reach into the crowd, it doesn't matter if a fan interferes or not. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Yep. Excellent try. That's a screen right there in front of Lorenzo Cain, so he couldn't plant his foot on that. It's a wire material.
No swing. Fouled away by Teixeira. Mark Teixeira, like a lot of Yankees hitters, going through a slump at the moment. And Chris Young, after the home run, comes back to strike him out with a slider. Brian McCann homers to right center field, and at the end of 1, the Yankees have a 1-0 lead. Home run number 6 this year for the Yankees for a 1-0 lead. And now back of the plate with Kendrys Morales, Alex Gordon, and Salvador Perez. Against Ivan Nova, he gave up a 1-out single to Cain in the first inning, and then got Hosmer to ground into a double play. Morales takes outside, ball 1. Kendrys drove in 4 on Saturday in Cleveland, the 1 win the Royals had. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes.
Morales 1 for 5 off of Nova.
In the air to left field. And Gardner on the track makes the play. You know, I mentioned when we were showing the Yankees defensively that Gardner is the only player from the Yankees system. And I asked the question to a few people on the field just to get their reaction 10 or 15 years from now. And we don't know this because we're not Yankee fans, but who will the Yankee fans consider Yankees on this team 10 or 15 years from now? I mean, it's one thing to wear the pinstripes. It's another thing to be considered a Yankee. And I mean, this is just a collection of players from other organizations. It's just making their way through town.
The system, they don't have a lot of top prospects. They've got some, but none that are ready to break in.
1-2 to Alex. He's hit in 5 straight after hitting safely in each of the 3 games in Cleveland.
Alex,
2-2.
much more comfortable. Now you can tell he's not jumping. He's not really spinning and trying to pull the ball now. He's starting to use that left side, and he sees the big hole over there. He knows that's going to get him right, so he needs to continue to do that. He'll recognize that pitch in and react. And here for the next 4 games, little pop-ups can go out to right.
Trying to get him with a fastball up. 3-2. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes.
That 2-seam fastball has some run away from lefties. His changeup has some sink to it, and when he'll try to break that curveball off to the back leg of the left-handed batter. Alex leads the Royals with 13 walks.
Well hit center field. Long way to center field. And Alex Gordon ties the game. Number 3 for Alex.
Yes. Like I said, those opposite field swings is getting him locked in, and that was just a natural turn on it. Way to go, Alex. 3rd home run on the season. You could tell by the sound. 3-2. He's guessing fastball, and he guessed right. He got it. You could just tell that ball was hit cleanly. Beautiful. Right down the middle. Hit it right where it's pitched. Got some good backspin. Good carry. Dead center. 408 plus.
Remind you of another home run he hit against a New York team?
Kind of. I think that one though was a lot bigger and further, I think. Do you think it went further? I mean, that's almost in the same spot.
That's his first home run in this ballpark. He's only, and it's gone up a little bit, but coming in only a 143 hitter in this ballpark.
I would not have guessed that.
Salvi had a couple of doubles yesterday. Alex had 1 home run at old Yankee Stadium. And now 1 here. Salvi passed the shortstop Gregorius. And now he's at first base with 1 down.
Let's check out a side swing. Look at his balance. I like that. Little lift up with the foot. Sets it right back down. Great head position. And he's got it right out in front. That's beautiful right there. The Gordinator. Gordinated all over that one. Dead center. There's no chance. Great swing. Ties it up. Now he's going on. Look at his major league service time, Alex. 8 years and 92 days coming into this year. And that's the first Yankee Stadium home run he's hit.
This Yankee Stadium.
Oh, okay.
He only had 1 at the other one.
Wow. Huh. I accidentally hit a home run here. Come on.
Well, not this one. The other one.
No, but it probably would have went out here. It's to right field. It was a total fluke, but it worked. But Alex, man, that ball, man, that's got to make him feel good.
Omar Infante played in just one game in Cleveland, and that was a game he wasn't supposed to play in. That was Friday night. He was supposed to be out of the lineup, and then Mike Moustakas was scratched. So Colon had to play third. Infante played second, and then the next day Moustakas was placed on the disabled list, and now Infante goes into center field. So with one out, the Royals have 3 straight hits and runners at first and second.
Getting a little frenzy hitting going here, but you know, you're going to hit those balls. That's right over the middle. Infante stayed right with it. Elevated, saying hit me on those pitches Nova's bringing in there.
Two on for Chesler Cuthbert. And he's after the first pitch. That's into right center field, and it's going to be caught. Ackley was playing shallow and closed in on that quickly. Cuthbert didn't quite get all of it.
No, he didn't barrel it, but he had good direction on it. And there's another ball up, belt high. Way to be ready to hit that. First time in there, I thought Cuthbert was going to do something large there. I got in on him just a tad. If he had that to do over again, he probably would have pulled it.
So 2 down to Dyson. There's that breaking ball that he throws at the back foot of the left-hand batter. 1 ball and no strikes.
He's going to have to start mixing it up. You know, Royals are tagging his first pitches, so he dropped the breaking ball, but still look for the fastball out over.
One and one. Nova is out of the Yankees organization. Signed 11 years ago out of the Dominican Republic. Yankees almost lost him to the Padres. He's one of those Rule 5 players that went to a new team, and then the team returned him. San Diego sent him back. First went on the disabled list with the elbow problem in April of 14 and ended up having Tommy John surgery. 2 balls and 1 strike. Before Tommy John surgery, he was an effective member of the Yankees rotation, but just hasn't been able to bounce back as quickly as he would like since the surgery. But he just looks like a big league pitcher.
That size, he'd like to create a little bit more downhill angle.
That's into the crowd. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Before Tommy John, 40 and 22 ERA, right around the quality start range. Since 7 and 12 with an ERA over 5. And making his first start since early October of last season. 2-2 on Dyson. Lays off a breaking ball, full count. And with Salvador Perez at second base, added offensive advantage here to get him going. Base hit to the outfield is not an automatic run. But Perez, with the count 3-2 and 2 outs, will get an early break. And Dyson pops it up. Headley wants it. And that's the inning. So after Brian McCann homers in the bottom of the first, Alex Gordon does the same in the top of the second. A 1-1 tie at Yankee Stadium. Off the bottom of the second inning, a Lee Summit Mazda game break. There's a young Carlos Beltran. First called up to the Royals in 1998. He was the American League Rookie of the Year in 1999. He was with the Royals until June of 2004 when he was traded to the Houston Astros and had one of the best postseasons in Major League history for Houston that year, and then signed the big contract with the Mets, and now he launches one to right field, and that's up into the bleacher seats. Carlos Beltran gets the Yankee lead right back. Home run number 5.
And his 397th career homer. That's 5th most all time by a switch hitter. Right there down the middle.
And he was a struggling hitter coming into tonight's game. Line base hit right field. Dustin Ackley got on top of a high fastball. And Ackley had really been struggling, just 1 for 26 in the starting lineup for the Yankees this year. Beltran had been 1 for his last 14. And now Didi Gregorius. This is a 3rd consecutive start where Chris Young has allowed 2 home runs. Good slider down, 1 ball, 1 strike.
He's not able to locate his fastball so far where he wants it. And at 88 miles an hour, you can't just be laying those pitches in the middle. They don't miss those. Not at this level here. Last year, Young with a 3.06 ERA was able to keep him in the ballpark for the most part, but did give up 16 home runs, but way too many this year so far.
And here's some more numbers that show you the challenges he's had with his fastball. All 10 home runs now have been hit off the fastball, and opponents are hitting over 370 against that pitch. Last year, opponents hit 219 off of his fastball.
That's what's so puzzling this year.
Didi Gregorius, in his 2nd year at the Yankees, all he had to do last year was take over at shortstop for the retired Derek Jeter. Line to right and right at Dyson. But that was a fastball, and that's the first out of the 2nd inning.
Yeah, all he had to do was take over for one of the greatest all-time Yankees, and he struggled early. I mean, he struggled, and thankfully he had a strong finish to kind of get that thing going. Now,
Think there's room on that wall?
I think there's a spot for it.
It is the only single digit that is not retired in Yankee history, along with the number 6, which belonged to Joe Torre, or at least that was the case when Torre and Jeter were together. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chase Headley. Not a lot of room. Yankees have by far the most retired numbers in Major League history. And And that will happen when you've won 27 world championships.
Yep. All right, there's room right there.
So you got 1,
right here.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Right
There's
there.
6 by that fellow with the Yankee
Right.
jacket. 7, 2 8s, and 9. Cuthbert takes care of Headley. He's had a brutal start to his season. He is still without an extra base hit in 78 at bats. It's almost like there's maybe an area in the middle there to make that 2 stand out more than any other.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of numbers left.
This is Ronald Torreyes. Yankees went out and they traded for Starlin Castro during the offseason. They picked him up from the Cubs. Torreyes gets the start at second base. 5'7" Ronald Torreyes.
So he has an inch on Altuve. It's amazing. This kid has worked hard to get here. He's got some skills. Good speed. He runs. Slashes the ball all over the ballpark. He's got a little pop.
He was signed just 6 years ago, but this is his 7th organization. Now, some of those organizations that he was so-called with, those were just paper moves as he was placed on waivers, claimed on waivers, placed on waivers. 5 of those organizations over the last 2 years.
Royals catching a break. Castro is one of their hottest hitters. He's not in the lineup. No Ellsbury.
Salvi thought about throwing back down to first. And on that topic, our University of Kansas hospital injury report. Jacoby Ellsbury has been bothered by a strained right hip. They're trying to keep him off of the disabled list. And the Yankees do not know when he'll be able to return. Ellsbury has always done well against the Royals. On the ground, right to Infante. And the flip to Escobar puts an end to the bottom of the second inning. Carlos Beltran homers leading off the second. So we've had 3 solo home runs in 2 innings. Yankees lead 2-1.
Progressive Field. Lorenzo Cain thought that he had his first double of the year, gets thrown out by Michael Brantley. It's been frustrating so far for Lorenzo, but the smile there as he points out to Michael Brantley, and I had a chance to talk to him about that today, and he said there were a couple things. He has been frustrated, finally got his first double on the next at bat, and so things haven't gone his way. He's had some bad luck, but that was less about frustration and more about the history between Lorenzo Cain and Michael Brantley. Back when Lorenzo was 19 years old and Michael Brantley was 18 years old, they were teammates in rookie ball, played at 4 different levels in the minor leagues, drafted a year apart by the Milwaukee Brewers. Now Brantley about to turn 29, Lorenzo Cain 30, and that was just some bragging rights there between two longtime friends.
And we agreed, Hud, that wasn't a bad play. First inning, try and stretch a single into a double with one out, and while that may not be the old school thing to do, to smile at the guy that just threw you out, maybe it's a sign that the Royals are starting to loosen up a little bit and play free and easy like they do when they're at their best.
I agree. There was absolutely nothing wrong with that. And how many base hits has he stolen from other players? Lorenzo Cain. I mean, a boatload. And you know, if it was Salvi or somebody who didn't run so well, they would have stopped at first base, but not Lorenzo Cain. He had to make a perfect throw, and he did. Escobar didn't swing at the first pitch second time up. He usually doesn't. If he swings at the first pitch first time up, he's only hitting .227 on first pitch swings this year, leading off.
Fastball riding in on him, and that's Nova's first strikeout. If you're a Royals fan and you live in Omaha, tune into 1620 The Zone for your chance to get a seat on the Forever Royal Fan Express as it goes from Omaha to Kauffman Stadium this Saturday for the Royals and the Braves. 1620 The Zone will be giving 4-packs of passes to that game. Royals t-shirts, game programs, and of course transportation to and from Kauffman Stadium. Royals.com/Fan Express. Lorenzo single to left in the first inning. And now chops it out to Headley, who will throw from the grass. And there are 2 down. Here's Eric Hosmer. And with Cain at first and 1 out in the first inning, Hosmer grounded to Gregorius, who started a 6-3 double play. A little bit outside, ball 1. Hosmer is 3rd in the league in hitting and 6th with 38 hits. (2-0).
Coming in, Haas 4 for 9 with a homer off of Nova. Grounded into a double play his first time up.
Three balls and no strikes with Morales next.
Nova mainly 2-pitch, fastball, curveball. He mixed in a changeup right there.
4-pitch walk. That's the first walk given up by Nova. And now Morales. We remind you to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the KC metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. Well, the Royals have had their challenges at times this year. Pitching challenges with walks. It is the exact opposite for the Yankees. The Yankees have walked the fewest in the American League. And for Nova, that was just his second walk of the year. Breaking ball down and out of the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. Same pitch.
Stay with it right there as long as it keeps swinging at it. Can't hit that one.
Now the old school way of thinking here, Hud, was you would throw it again. But the new school is, well, I'm going to throw a different pitch this time around. Right? I mean, when you played, he'd get another curveball down again, right?
That's right. We'll see if he stays with it here.
Hosmer runs. And it is a breaking ball cut on and missed. So Morales strikes out. Nova strikes out 2 in a scoreless 3rd inning. The Yankees have a 2-1 lead. Two down in the bottom of the 1st. Alex Gordon with 1 out in the top of the 2nd. And then Carlos Beltran leading off the top of the 2nd.
Yep, there was no doubt about him. Now this one here, Lorenzo Cain almost brought it back. 2nd inning, Alex Gordon. Man, was that beautiful. Short and compact, didn't try to do too much. And then Beltran.
Brett Gardner takes a slider inside. He lined out to left in the 1st inning. The so-called Bronx Bombers only have hit 2 more home runs than the Royals. Did I say 2?
Nice.
3 more home runs than the Royals this year. The Yankees have hit a solo home run in each of the first 3 innings. That's number 4 for Gardner.
Again, fastball above the belt. He's used to getting those guys to pop that up. But the Yankees, they are well schooled on him. And they're looking for that pitch right there.
One and one. And now Hicks.
That was a slider that hung.
That's the first time that Chris Young, of the 12 home runs he's allowed this year, that's the first one on a slider. And he had just thrown a really good slider the pitch before that was down and out of the strike zone.
And that's right in the middle.
And a slider for a strike to McCann. So the Yankees have 4 runs, 5 hits, 4 solo home runs. And now McCann grounds out to Infante in shallow right field. And that's the first out of the 3rd inning. It's the first time the Yankees have hit back-to-back home runs this year. And that 4 home runs allowed by Chris Young ties a career high allowed by him, and Dylan G is warming up in a hurry with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd. Loaded to Shera, and Young struck him out in the 1st inning. That's Chris's only strikeout so far. One ball and 1 strike. Our Kubota power stats, and they are hardly power stats for Teixeira through 29 games this year compared to last year. Last year, through 29 games, he was building numbers that sent him to the All-Star game. Two balls and 2 strikes.
He hasn't gotten off to his best start, and he understands. As I talked to him before the game, he says, I'm not really a fast starter, but it's the first time really in a long time I feel good. I don't have any aches and pains or anything. There's a strikeout.
Two strikeouts for Young, both against Mark Teixeira. And now Carlos Beltran. Beltran homered deep to right field in the 2nd inning. That was his 5th of the year. That looked like a changeup.
Yeah.
Throw an occasional changeup. Out of play. They're showing you some highlights for Carlos Beltran when he was with the Royals. Much younger Carlos Beltran. He is 39 years old. Can you believe it was 17 years ago when he was Rookie of the Year? Some numbers there that will give him some Royals Hall of Fame consideration. He also has numbers that will give him quite a bit of baseball Hall of Fame consideration. Bud told you he's moving up on 400 career home runs. He is also moving up on 1,500 career RBIs, and he has stolen over 300 bases. It is a very short list of players that have hit 300 home runs and stolen 300 bases. And Beltran lines another one. Right field, over the wall. That's a career high 5 home runs allowed by Chris Young. But tonight, that happens in just 2 2/3 innings. That's number 2 for Beltran in this game, and 6 on the year.
They've got to come get him. Well, we were afraid of that before the game today driving into the ballpark. And you know, if we're talking like that, so are the players when they're coming to the ballpark. He's got to find a way to right that ship and get those fastballs where they can't hit it like that.
So five solo home runs off of Chris Young in 2 2/3 innings. That's a career high for him. It also ties a Royals record.
Wow. Well, if you look at where these are, the Yankees, who are known in their history as being the Bronx Bombers, have not been this year. But with all those pitches elevated right there on the tee, they're becoming the Bronx Bombers again tonight. And it's not going to be an easy series. Royals knew coming in, the Yankees have had the best of them in the last few years here. It won't be easy.
So Dylan G essentially is going to get a start as he comes on with 2 down in the 3rd inning. Dustin Ackley had the only hit that was not a home run against Chris Young. And Dylan G gets the final out of the 3rd inning with a comebacker. So to the 4th inning, and the Royals are down 5-1. out, and we've seen 6 runs, all on home runs. Here's our greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile and some of the storylines you may have missed over the weekend. Bryce Harper yesterday reached base 7 times without an official at bat, 6 walks, and he was hit by a pitch. David Ortiz trails only Ted Williams in Red Sox history for home runs. And the Atlanta Braves, team the Royals will face during the next homestand, are 1-15 at home, and that's the worst since they moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta in 1966.
Yeah, things haven't worked out there. I mean, they weren't expecting to do a whole lot, but they didn't expect it to be this bad so early.
They are 7-23. Here's Alex. 2 balls and 1 strike.
I read a quote from John Schuerholz today that said that he has confidence and they know how to build a team, and that's what they're doing. And he said he felt the same way back in the early 90s about the team that they built and went to all those postseasons. So, you know, he's saying we just need a little patience from your fans. What else can you say? They traded away pretty much all their guys.
Not a lot of momentum, though, going into a new stadium next year. Alex, base hit right field. Alex is 2 for 2. Not only did Alex have fun homering to straightaway center field in the 2nd inning, but he also had a little fun with his third base coach again.
Yeah, you know, once a year he'll do this to him.
Come on, that's not right, is it?
That's
poor Jersh.
Come on, dude. I want you to shake your hand after hitting a big fly in Yankee Stadium. Just his 2nd in his career, and Alex blew him off. That ain't right, Jersh. Sorry, Jersh. Good to see Alex starting to hit. He'd get those hits, shorten up his swing.
Pulled foul past Mike Jershely. 1 ball and 1 strike on Salvador Perez. Alex Gordon is our Honda most trusted player. He is now hit in 6 straight, batting at .368. And good to see a smile back on his face. Salvador Perez singled his first time up, and now he grounds it to Gregorius. Out at second. Double play, and the 2nd double play for Nova in the first 4 innings.
That little 2-seamer that he's got, you know, we talked about him just using mainly fastball, curveball, but he gets those guys to hit that ball on the ground. 2nd time the Royals have hit into a double play tonight.
Inside to Infante. He singled to center field in the 2nd inning. It's a season high 58 pitches for Nova. This is his first start of the year. Infante shortening up.
It's a pretty heavy run and sink to that ball. Here's that 2-seamer. I think as he's going along now, he's getting more depth in that pitch. He's taking something off of it. He's 92, 93. We saw him a little bit earlier at 94, 95. And for a sinker baller, sometimes less is more. Get more break on the ball.
Headley makes a play in the hole, and that's the inning. Good start. Royals had a leadoff single, and again Nova gets all 3 outs in the inning on the ground. dad.
Yeah,
Tickets to a Royals game in New York.
And you look marvelous, by the way. All decked out in your royal blue. I love KC heart. I love it. Way to go.
The Yankees lead 5-1 on 5 solo home runs. McCann, Beltran twice, Gardner and Hicks. This is Didi Gregorius. All of those runs were scored off of Chris Young. Dylan G came on and got the last out of the 3rd inning. Gregorius line to right his first time up. Two and 0.
G's got 4 pitches he likes to use: fastball, slider, change, and a curve. He likes to work the corners down and mix them. Can't really sit on any particular pitch. He doesn't want to stay up there. Max out around 92, 93.
Three and 1 on Gregorius. Out of play.
Good for him to get back in there. You can't afford any walks. Make him earn it. No free rides now. Long way to go. Velocity 88, 89 so far. Let's see if he has any more.
Didn't hit it very hard, and Dyson comes up in right field.
Jammed him. Good pitch. Good location.
1 out. Time for another Lee Summit Mazda game break. Today is Tony Gwynn's birthday. He would have turned 56 today. 300 or better in 19 consecutive seasons, 8 batting titles, and that last note, he had 1 game where he struck out 3 times.
No way.
He went into the Hall of Fame the same year Denny went into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Tony Gwynn, Cal Ripken, Denny in the broadcaster's wing, Rick Hummel, who writes in St. Louis, in the writer's wing, and all 4 of those had spent their entire careers with one organization. Three balls and no strikes. There's Denny on radio tonight with Steve Physiak. Chase Headley popped to third first time up, and now he's on with a 4-pitch walk. Apparently, I have led us right into our sprint trivia question for tonight. 7 of Major League Baseball's top 20 all-time hit leaders played for one team in their entire career. Okay, so 7 out of the 20 all-time career hit leaders played for one team. So we've got Tony Gwynn, Derek Jeter,
Edgar Martinez.
I don't think he got 3,000 hits, Hud.
I thought batting title.
Safe. No double play. Torreyes beats the throw over to first base. Well, how about Cal Ripken Jr.?
Sure, and George has got to be in there.
Okay, so we have George, Cal Ripken Jr., Derek Jeter, Tony Gwynn, Ty Cobb.
Okay.
Pass by Pete Rose, who did not play with one organization.
Yep. No, and neither did Rod Carew. He's a 7-time batting champ. He bounced around.
So Cobb, Gwynn, Jeter, Ripken, George. That's 5. We have 2 more.
I think we have to go way back.
Frank 1-0 on Gardner.
Frank Thomas.
Yeah, he finished up. He played some games with Oakland.
Okay. I thought he was all White Sox.
Gardner has one of the 5 home runs. He homered to right center field in the 3rd inning, and after him, Aaron Hicks homered. A former Royal has texted me, who grew up a big Robin Yount fan.
Thank you. We'll take all the help we can get.
Now, of course, we're assuming all of these are right, but if they are, then we're down to 1.
We'll just keep guessing.
Or keep texting.
Yeah, love it. We'll take some help.
Kirby Puckett. Back to G. And that's the inning. Dylan G has a scoreless bottom of the 4th. 5-1 Yankees in New York.
As young Chesler Cuthbert had a learning experience, a costly one yesterday. Down 1 at 3rd base. You see the hesitation, then he comes home and gunned out at the plate. Talking to Mike Jerschley about this today, and the message to Chesler or any player in that position is see the ball past the pitcher, and you're not going if it's hit to the corners, but if it's past the pitcher, you've got to go immediately. And it wasn't hit that hard. It's a ball that really any runner should be able to score on. But Chesler hesitated on that. And I know you guys talked about it a little bit yesterday. So a mistake there. What about Christian Colon? Could he have gotten a 3rd and open up second base? No potential double play if Dyson can steal. But what Jer said on that was that, first off, he's got to follow that runner. And on the hesitation to Christian, or from Cuthbert, he can't go until he sees Cuthbert going. And the other thing, if he goes too quickly, there's a chance he gets tagged out at shortstop. So really the breakdown there ended up being a 3rd base learning experience for Chesler.
Yeah, and I can tell you that's hard, though. I remember being over there at 3rd, and he'd say, okay, see the ball through. If it gets by the pitcher, go. I mean, you know, it's too much to think about. Either I'm going on contact or not. And you work on that during BP, 1, 2, 3, landing on that right foot, leaning forward as the ball crosses the plate, and you train yourself so you could score on contact like that. Tough play. Didn't work out for him.
Yeah, and we brought up yesterday the possibility of Colon going second or third, and I think you and I are in agreement that, you know, after thinking through it a little more, that's not on him at all. That was probably more just the fan in us hoping for more out of that play.
Yep.
But as Joel pointed out, Colon's got to see what Cuthbert is doing first, and if Cuthbert doesn't go right away, Colon has to stay put, and then that play's dead.
Yeah, there's nobody out, and a ball hit. If you're a base runner, yeah.
Nova throws wide.
Give him a hit. It's a tough play for Nova. And when it tapped off the ground, I thought for sure it was going to bounce over his head for an infield hit, but Nova got to it. Man, that's a knock. Shara saved an error on the play. Nice job. That ball would have went down the line. Cuthbert would have been in there at second base. So he'll take it. Yankees got action up in their bullpen. Royals are not out of this game.
However, we can say that the Royals still have parts of 5 innings to get back into this game, and that's true, but that's like saying an opponent has 5 innings to get back into a game with the Royals bullpen. The Yankees, and this is bad timing for the Royals, but the Yankees got Aroldis Chapman back from a suspension today. So they have Chapman, Betances, and Miller. Right now it's Kirby Yates and Phil Koch warming up. Dyson up the middle, and Nova may have gotten his hand on that ball, so that took some of the steam out of the ground ball, and also perhaps prevented the Yankees from turning a double play. And yet Nova's pointing at himself, and now he's nodding at the dugout saying that he's fine. Yep.
Oh, man, look at that. Hit right off his pitching finger. He doesn't touch that ball at all. That's an unassisted double play. Yeah, you know, I realize that Chapman's going to be activated tonight, and Girardi said he's going to be their closer, and they got Betances and Miller. But you know, you can beat those guys. That's what the Royals got to tell themselves. Other teams, when they face HHD, you know, Herrera, Davis, and Davis, excuse me, Hochevar, Herrera, and Davis, they're not up there going, oh no, this is over. They got to compete.
Good movement on that fastball. 1-1 on Escobar. He's hitless in 2 trips tonight.
So obviously the ball that hit off of Nova's fingers didn't affect him. Sometimes that'll just take that nail on the index finger and rip it, just tear it just a little, and he can't throw. So good for him. It's not affected him.
This will be pitch number 73. And it's 1-2. So you got a couple of things working here. A pitch limit of about 70 to 75 for Nova, who is making his first start of the year. So Joe Girardi doesn't want to overextend Nova so early in the season, and he'd like Nova to qualify for a win, and he needs to get through 5 innings to do that.
Imagine they'll let him go to 80 pitches maybe.
Off the knuckles. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes. Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard. Yankees went out and got Aroldis Chapman from the Reds this past offseason, and then he was suspended because of an off-the-field incident which prevented him from first being traded to the Dodgers. So copying the blueprint of the Royals, the Yankees have been building the back end of their bullpen. They got Miller last year. Dyson runs, and the throw is in on a bounce. Brian McCann is not usually among the league leaders in throwing out runners. So Dyson's at second base with one out.
Yeah, McCann's 22% in his career and just 13 this year, but didn't get much help. And Dyson, no problem.
Teixeira dives from a knee, close and safe. And I think Angel Hernandez is saying that Nova never stepped on the bag. Nova immediately turned to the Yankee dugout, and Joe Girardi is going to come up and slow down the proceedings while his video guy can take another look. But at least for now, it's runners at first and third and one out.
Control what you can. This is what the Royals need to continue to do. Hustle. Run hard. Play the game. You never know. And whether he hit it there, couldn't tell on that angle. But Escobar hustling down that line. Let's see if this angle shows it here. I don't know. And it looked to me like Angel Hernandez had a pretty good angle on it. But you control the things that you can. And that's a good attitude and hustle.
And the Yankees will not challenge. So it's an error on Nova. So here's an opportunity with Nova at the pitch limit, basically, that the Yankees set for him.
Nova Kane confrontation right here. Now you know who gave me that?
Who?
The professor. He just came in our booth. Did you see him?
Steve Physiak?
Yeah.
That's what he came in to tell you?
He goes, Hud, we'll have a Nova Kane confrontation right here. I said, well, Fizz, he's already been up a couple times off of Nova. I had to drop that in there.
Grounded, just foul.
Oh, man, that would have been nice.
A single to left in the first inning, and then Lorenzo grounded to third in the third. How about a hanging breaking ball?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. That's what he got a hit on his first time up.
McCann wants him to pitch way outside, and he does. He was very emphatic, putting down the number one for a fastball and putting that finger way up against the inside of his right leg, saying this pitch needs to be away, away. Inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Great take. Lorenzo Kane saying, okay, he's going to try a hook right here, and I'm going to get him. Great take. That's a bat breaker.
Wasn't a hanging breaking ball. It was right where he wanted it, down and away. And now Joe Girardi is going to come take him out, and Nova knows that he was 1 out away from qualifying for a victory, but a 70 to 75 pitch limit. Girardi let him get to 81, and he's going to make a change. He had only thrown as many as 56 pitches. It is a Chevy call to the bullpen. Time for a Royals Coke and a smile. Yankees have hit 5 solo home runs. The Royals have hit 1 solo home run. And now Phil Koch, whose career has gone full circle as he is back with his original organization. He comes on with runners at first and third to face Eric Hosmer. Down and away, ball 1.
He's going to break everything away from Hosmer if he can. He's got a fastball. He likes to try to sink it, not overpowering, and he's got a big breaker away. Hos has had plenty of action against him, and good action. Three-run bomb would be a beautiful thing to see.
High slider. 2-0. Dyson is at third. Escobar is at first. If Ivan Nova steps on first base on a ground ball from Alcides Escobar, the Yankees are out of this inning. And Nova qualifies for a win. Way inside, 3-0. Phil Koch, drafted by the Yankees, came up with the Yankees in 08. We saw a lot of him with the Tigers. He spent a short time last year with the Cubs and with the Blue Jays, and had been with the Braves in their minor league system before the Yankees picked him back up. 3 balls and 1 strike.
I don't remember Koch throwing that hard. Come back with another fastball.
Pretty good swing on it. 95.
Yeah.
3 balls, 2 strikes.
He's got a lot in his tank. We'll see. Haas told me before the game about that going up on his toe, his little toe tap, like when he hit that home run yesterday. He said he's going to do that with 2 strikes on it. Let's see if he does it here. And pull that leg all the way up in his flamingo style. He just goes the tiptoe of that front foot.
Escobar runs, and Hosmer hits it to left field, and Gardner to the wall to make the play. So he put a good swing on it, didn't quite get it on the barrel of the bat, and the Royals leave 2 in the top of the 5th. Well, there's always the potential of a big home run game in this ballpark, and we've seen it. 6 solo home runs, 5 for the Yankees, 1 for the Royals. One of those home runs was hit by Aaron Hicks, who leads off against Dylan G. 2 balls and no strikes. The Yankees scored all 5 of their runs against Chris Young in 2 2/3 innings. G recorded the final out of the 3rd and then turned in a scoreless 4th inning. On the ground to Infante. Hicks is 1 for 3. Start your week off right by coming to Kauffman Stadium next Monday for the newly added Hy-Vee Value Monday when the Royals take on the Red Sox. Now please note that this game time is a 6:05 first pitch. You can purchase any Hy-Vee View tickets for only $10 courtesy of Hy-Vee. Royals.com 1-800-6-ROYALS or visit your local Hy-Vee store to get your tickets. A week from tonight, 6:05 with the Red Sox. (2-0) on McCann. He hit the first Yankee home run with 2 down in the first inning. All home runs were hit to right field, or at least right field and right center field. And all were hit by left-hand batters. The Yankees have 4 switch hitters in their lineup: Hicks, Teixeira, Beltran, and Headley.
Dylan G's done a great job so far in his role. The role that they gave him. And that's come in, you know, after a starter can't go 3 or more, which don't happen that often, but he's done a great job. He understands his role. I talked to him before the game about that. I said, hey, it's really a job where, you know, you don't get a lot of love for eating up 2, 3, 4 innings, you know, but you really do save that bullpen for the next 2 or 3 days after that. He said, yeah, that's what I take pride in, saving the bullpen. He says that's going to help us win a couple games down the rest of the week. And he says, you know what, if you're a starter, whenever he was starting with the Mets, he said his goal was to go deep so it would save the pin. So really, whatever role he's in, it's all about saving the pin, and Dave Island appreciates his work. He's done a nice job.
It's not a thankless job on the team because the team recognizes what he does, but you know, in the box score or recapping the game, it can be thankless because most of the time a pitcher in Dylan G's role is doing his best in a loss, and you don't see the effects of his work until the days afterward, when a rested bullpen can do their job because they didn't have to come in a game like this, or as many had to come in a game like this. Hosmer came off the bag, and I think he believes that he tagged Teixeira before he got to first base. But the call right now is that he did not.
Escobar, he wanted that ball so badly. He even dove for it, and Infante was sitting right there. Now Hosmer takes it and tags him.
And Ned is going to ask for a challenge.
Haas, way to make that adjustment. Infante's throw pulled him off the bag.
That's Ted Barrett, the crew chief, on the left, and Angel Hernandez, the umpire who made the call, on the right. I think that's all time right there.
Since we're in New York, it didn't take that long. You know, the phone lines are pretty close here. Got it. Great play, Haas.
So 4-3 for the final out of the bottom of the 5th. Slam inning. Our contestant is Rita Collins from Independence, Missouri. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Rita wins $1,300. If the Royals hit a grand slam, Rita wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. As Phil Koch will stay on for the top of the 6th inning. He came on and got Eric Hosmer on a fly out to deep left with 2 on to end the 5th. He'll get Morales, Gordon, and Perez. All right. Oh, there's your update. Now we've got a little bit of help. Kurt Nelson of the Royals Hall of Fame reminded us that Ty Cobb finished his career with the Philadelphia A's. So he's off the list.
Wow.
So that takes us back to George, Tony Gwynn, Derek Jeter, Cal Ripken, Robin Yount. What about Stan Musial?
Yeah, I say we go with him. A lot of these guys we're saying finished their career in that last year with somebody else. You know, that throws it off. And the top 20 hits. And I could easily go to my
thesaurus.
Yeah, my information here, but I'm not.
How about 1-1 on Kendrys? And that's well hit. Or maybe not. Ackley makes the play. Had a pretty good swing on it.
No, I thought he hit it better too.
Ball just kind of flamed out when it got to the outfield. We had George on the other night. And remember who George said was his inspiration as a kid? His brother Ken was playing for the Red Sox. And
yes,
Carl Yastrzemski. What about Carl Yastrzemski?
Put him on.
Now you mentioned Craig Biggio.
I did. I thought Biggio might.
He was a 3,000 hit.
He
guy.
was.
All right. So what's our final list here? If we go with Musial, Yastrzemski, and Biggio, that's 8. So one of those guys is not going to make the cut.
I don't think Biggio will. I don't know if he had enough hits.
So Brett, Gwynn, Jeter, Ripken, Yount, Musial, Yastrzemski. 1-1 on Alex.
All right, we've done all we can do.
Musial, Jeter, Yastrzemski, Ripken, Brett, Yount. Thank you, Joe Randa, and Gwynn. How about it?
That's beautiful. Joker, thank you.
Steve Kurtenbach reminds me that George Brett named one of his sons Robin. And George and Robin Yount went into the Hall of Fame together.
Didn't know that. All I can tell you is that what I'm watching from Alex Gordon right here is good. He's keeping his shoulder tucked. He's hot right now. And it doesn't matter lefty or righty, when you're in a tree like he is, he's going to keep that action going. Think left field, react in. And he's backed off the plate. I like that. He's giving himself some room, and he's shoot that ball the way to the opposite field if he can. Can you tell he's backed off away from the plate by that last?
I didn't notice that till you said it.
Yeah, look at him. He's back. He normally is a little bit closer.
He'll take a walk.
Okay, and that means he's still locked, especially since he's getting that walk. Perfect on the night. Second inning. Dead center. We got liftoff. Look at that. Front foot didn't overstride, kept it right there, tight, controls the body. Head position was perfect. So was that swing.
Kirby Yates is the new Yankees pitcher. up against right-hander Kirby Yates. As you know, there is no better way to spend your Friday night than at Kauffman Stadium for baseball and fireworks. Our first summer fireworks show is coming up after the game this Friday against the Braves. Fireworks presented by Hy-Vee and Pepsi. Royals.com, 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. The Braves Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Red Sox Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the next homestand. This is Kirby Yates to face Salvador Perez with Alex Gordon at first base. Slider for strike one.
That's right. Fastball slider change.
The Yankees entering tonight had lost 8 out of 11. They are having trouble scoring runs, and their bullpen has let them down over that stretch. And we mentioned that they've gotten a big lift in that bullpen tonight with the return of Aroldis Chapman. Two and one on Salvi. It is a bullpen that overall this year has the most strikeouts per 9 innings in the league, and that was without Chapman. So while that sounds like a scary statistic, it may be a good matchup for the Royals, because as we've learned, pitchers who are used to getting through a lineup by way of a strikeout aren't going to have typically that kind of success against the Royals lineup.
Let's hope not. I got Yates 88 to 95 with his fastball. He's working that slider off the plate to Salvi.
Foul tip and strike three, 2 down.
Good spot down. So, you know, getting a player like Chapman, and he's eligible tonight, is almost like having a new toy. Joe Girardi, he's sitting over there saying, all right, I get a chance now. I got a lead, got a chance to use my guys to back in. He's hoping Yates can get through this inning.
I can't think of a scenario, unless Chapman slips and falls down and breaks his arm walking out to the bullpen, where Girardi doesn't use him tonight. No matter what the score is.
He already said he's going to make him his closer over Miller, who's been their closer.
Fonte had a good swing on a fastball. No balls and 2 strikes. A reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. One and two. Base hit left center field. Omar Infante is 2 out of 3. Infante found out during the Cleveland series that he's not going to be playing every single day. Ned Yost wants to get a look at Christian Colon at second base, and Ned just acknowledging the fact that Infante is getting up there in age. He needs more time in between starts to bounce back. And coincidence or not, Omar beat out a routine ground ball to short the day that news was disclosed on Friday night. And he's had real aggressive swings tonight, and he's 2 out of 3.
He knows that he's got to produce and perform, and can't afford to miss any more backhands or any plays on defense at all. I mean, they're watching him. He knows it. And I think it's good whenever you have that kind of pressure coming from internal competition amongst each other like that. Cologne, Mondesi's in the wings.
Whit Merrifield.
Right. Whit Merrifield. Good name. It's the way the business is. Always has been that way. Who's coming?
0-2 on Cuthbert.
Yeah,
He is 1 for 2 with an infield single.
I don't think Yates wants to give him a chance to hit a 3-run homer here. So he's going all breaking balls.
Back with a fastball to strike him out. The Royals strand 2 in the 6th. They have stranded 7 in the first 6 innings. Divided by solo home runs. The Yankees have 5. The Royals have 1. And Yellowwood, to say the least, is bringing the lumber tonight.
Yep, it's unfortunate that it's the Yankees that are doing the damage. Chris Young's fastball just way too big, right in the zone. Beltran belted him.
That's fouled out of play, so Carlos Beltran is now at 398 career home runs. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Dylan G got the final out of the 3rd inning. And has pitched a scoreless 4th and 5th. Alex Gordon has plenty of room in left field. And Beltran is out for the first time tonight. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler with Joel Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery, along with producer Joe Vencius Director Steve Kurtenbach, associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live is Brian Shapiro. As Dustin Ackley cracked his bat, and he's down 0-2 against Dylan G.
How about Ackley getting a chance to play some right field this year? First time in his career. Typical second baseman. But, you know, he has athleticism. He's been playing some outfield, makes him more valuable. He's versatile, and he's got a good left-handed bat.
He had a very rocky career in Seattle, or let's call it more of a roller coaster. First round pick in 09, team MVP as a rookie in 2011, sent back to the minor leagues in 2013. Hit well to left field. Alex got a good angle on it, and that's the second out. We just found out that Steven Strasburg has signed a 7-year extension to stay with the Washington Nationals.
Nice.
And Dustin Ackley, the year that Steven Strasburg was drafted first overall, Dustin Ackley was drafted second overall that same year in 2009 out of the University of North Carolina.
I knew Ackley had a nice amateur career. But so Dylan G just goes out there and is doing his thing, throwing up zeros, hitting his spots, not overpowering anybody, but he hits the spots. And he's a guy that, if he is a candidate for a rotation spot, he'll have to rely on location and command like most pitchers. Won't be overpowering anybody. And hopefully he hits them right at it. Nice job.
He has gone 3 1/3 scoreless. So to the 7th inning, the Royals are down 5-1. Is the old playing surface of the original Yankee Stadium. There's the so-called new Yankee Stadium, opened in 2009, and the Yankees won the World Series that year over the Phillies. Panera takes us around the league. Detroit is leading at Washington. The Tigers have fallen 2 games below 500. They're a game behind the Royals. Chicago is 12 games above 500. They lead at Texas. Houston is ahead at home against Cleveland. Houston is still 8 games under 500. And Minnesota postponed with Baltimore. Minnesota has lost 5 in a row, and they are at 8-23. Tigers, by the way, are trying to put an end to a 6-game losing streak. We've got some teams in the Central Division that are struggling at the moment. The Royals have lost 9 of 12. Detroit has lost 6 in a row, and Minnesota has lost 5 in a row, and 9 of their last 10. Gregorius throws quickly in time. He got some help from Mark Teixeira. Teixeira's won 5 Gold Gloves in his career.
That's a Gold Glove pickup right there for sure. Tyson didn't get out of the box all that well. Well, at least I thought he did. He's pretty quick there. That's a good play by Gregorius. He had him coming in, cutting down the time. Was good speed to the ball. And that wasn't a short hop pick either. That was one of the tough ones. That bounces about 3 feet out in front of you. Tough one to judge.
He was the gold standard, if you will, at first base until Eric Hosmer started piling up the Gold Gloves. Escobar is grounded to third, struck out, and he has reached on an error. That was by the starter Nova, who allowed the 1 run in 4 2/3 innings. He just ran out of pitches and wasn't able to go long enough to qualify for the win. He was on a limited pitch count tonight, making his first start. Phil Koch went 2/3 of an inning, and now Kirby Yates has gotten 2 outs in the 6th and 1 here in the 7th. And we showed you as the Yankees were batting in the bottom of the 6th. Dellin Betances is ready in their bullpen.
I think if you ask Nova, he'll say, well, you know what, if I'd have stepped on the base over there on Escobar, I would have gotten out of that inning. Betances, he's ready.
Standing next to Roman Rodriguez, who used to be a Royals bullpen catcher, and now has been with the Yankees for a long time.
You wonder if Tony Pena brought him over.
Roman, for a while, was a batting practice pitcher and would help out, and then during the games he would sit in the stands with a radar gun, and he would give velocity in particular to Derek Jeter. Yates over to first base, and there are 2 down. And you say, well, why would he do that? I mean, there's radar guns in every stadium. But Derek Jeter wanted more precise velocities and liked the radar gun that Roman Rodriguez had. And there was somebody had done a special on that where Jeter would be in the on deck circle during a game, and a pitch would be thrown, and then he'd look over his shoulder and find Roman in the stands, and Roman had some signs that he would use for him, telling him whether the radar gun in the stadium was accurate or not.
Now, you know, a lot of the guns that are on the board aren't accurate. They're more hot than they are under. More on the high side. It's interesting. I didn't see that.
Gregorius again helped out by Mark Teixeira, and the Yankees, who have not had a great year defensively, make 2 good plays with Gregorius and Teixeira in the 7th.
Throwing to Teixeira is like throwing to Hosmer. Just get rid of it. Nice play.
Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. Royals are running out of time. It is the bottom of the 7th inning. The Yankees have a 5-1 lead, and all the scoring tonight was done in the first 3 innings. All the scoring tonight by way of home runs. 5 solo home runs for the New York Yankees. A tough night for Chris Young. He went 2 2/3 innings, and the Royals have lost 9 of their last 12. It's been a tough run for the starting rotation.
It certainly has, Ryan, and they're going to have to find a way to get their starters to go deeper in the game. There's no offense really in baseball that can sustain the 8 runs by the other starters that they're giving up every time out there. I mean, it's just, you see that right there. Other 4 starters, 8.6 ERA. That's tough. The Royals don't have an offense designed to score that many runs. I mean, they're 4.5 is what they're trying to get to. That's their mark with that great bullpen. And Ned Yost and Dave Eiling have to find a way.
So Dylan G has picked up the Royals tonight. When it comes to innings, he's gone 3 1/3 scoreless, and that includes retiring the last 8. He has pitched as many as 4 1/3 innings this year and 63 pitches. That was on April 23rd against the Orioles.
And I'm sure that Ned had a plan in case what happened to Chris Young happened, and it did, and G was going to be his guy. So then they're going to stretch him out as long as they can in case they want him to be the next starter in Young's spot. But we'll wait and see. I don't know if they can continue to afford to run Chris Young out there with all those home runs he's given up every time out. We'll have to let them decide that.
Well, he was awful good last year, so there is a recent track record, and yet at the same time, what is the best thing for the Royals and for Chris Young right now? It's a long season. Chris Young filled many roles last year for the Royals as Miller warms up in the Yankees bullpen. Broken bat, and Escobar tried to grab it with a bare hand, and Headley will be on with a leadoff single. And the Royals are just in one of those funks now. When they're pitching, they're not hitting. When they're hitting, they're not pitching. And you can mix in a couple of games there when it was a defensive play that wasn't made. So they were hitting, they were pitching, and then a defensive play wasn't made. So as hard as it is right now, there also is a recent track record of they can get as hot as anybody in the major leagues for a long period of time.
Well, let's hope we'll see that.
Ronald Torreyes, base hit left field. He's 1 for 3.
Consistency is something that you strive for in all 3 areas. And it's hard for all teams. I mean, look at some of these teams that are failing. You know, the Houston Astros, you know, Minnesota, they were supposed to be a lot better. And when you don't get consistency, you have a hard time winning.
The team that the Royals beat in the American League Championship Series last year. The Toronto Blue Jays are 1 game under 500.
That's right. And really, if you think about it, the way the Royals have been playing, they're right at 500. Very fortunate. They are 6 back.
Arizona Diamondbacks, all the money that they spent during the offseason, they're 3 games under 500. St. Louis Cardinals at 500. One on Brett Gardner. He has 1 of the 5 home runs. And speaking of 500, that's where the Royals sit now at 15 and 15. It has been a long time since the Royals have been below 500. Fouled away by Gardner. No balls and 2 strikes. How about 286 consecutive days during the season? Our Toyota League leaders, far and away the most of any major league team. It's also a Royals record by 67 days. You got to go back to July of 2014. The last time the Royals were below 500. That's a foul ball, and that's pretty late into the season. And that wasn't just any old day. If you go back in history, remember the Royals came out of the All-Star break. They were swept in Boston. Then they went to Chicago. They lost the first game, and then Raul Ibanez gathered everybody in the training room at U.S. Cellular Field and gave his now famous speech. And the Royals went on a run that led them in all the way to the World Series.
Impressive.
Infante has one play. Gardner runs very well, so it's a close play, but out. So it's almost like a swinging sacrifice. Getting Headley to third and Torreyes to second. Coming up Sunday at Kauffman Stadium with the Braves in town, we're going to salute the Negro Leagues. Make sure to purchase a themed ticket to receive an exclusive Charlie Hustle brand t-shirt, a seat for the Royals game, and a $5 donation to the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. You can learn more at royals.com/NLBM. Are they giving away that hat? That Gerard Dyson?
I don't know. I think they are.
Fedora this year. We had the newsboy hat last year. Remember that?
I do.
Isn't that what it was?
I remember that.
And a fedora this year.
How about him? That's a popular day. I mean, it's gotten popular over the last few seasons.
Infield in, and Hicks hits it plenty deep enough to right field. So Headley will score the Yankees' 6th run. Torreyes goes to third. And there are 2 down in the 7th inning. Aaron Hicks is driven in 2 tonight, and that's the first run against Dylan G. How about this? Dave Holtzman, after some exhaustive research, this might make Royals fans feel a little better, with an assist from Mike Cummings of the Royals Media Relations Department.
Okay.
Is that American League or all? Of the 2015 American League playoff teams, those teams this year are a combined 15 games under 500. That's a foul ball. So the Yankees, the Astros, the Rangers, the Blue Jays, and the Royals, I'm sorry, a combined 12 games, not 15, a combined 12 games under 500. And you know that those teams aren't giving up on the season yet.
No, it's May 9th.
And with all that being said, that doesn't take the Royals off the hook. They got to start playing better pretty soon here. McCann is down on strikes. And he leaves the dirt area, so that completes the strikeout. So Dylan G goes 4 1/3 innings and allows 1 run.
Nice job. Dylan G did exactly what Ned Yost wanted him to do, and like he's been doing all season so far, as young as it is. 4 1/3, 2 hits, 1 run. He threw 55 pitches, and he can pitch. Watch it. He's not overpowering, but he's going to hit his spots. Jammed Gregorius. Kept that nice little curveball down out of the hitting zone. There's a fastball up and away. He uses all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. He's a lot like Ian Kennedy, except he doesn't quite have the velocity. But one heck of a job by Dylan G. Dave Island, man, he's loving that. Just like Dylan told me before the game, he takes pride in saving that bullpen. Good job. That's a positive.
Chasen Shreve is the new pitcher.
This guy's, oh man.
Hello, Chasen Shreve. Eric Hosmer's first pitch ends up in the right field bleachers to make it 6-2.
There's an ambush, Homer. And you know, we've been seeing Haas against left-handers that come in swing at the first pitch. And he's been on most of them. He's fouled a bunch of them off. And he's staying right there on that one. Oh, yeah. Haas with his 6th home run and 2nd solo shot to go along with Alex Gordon. Oh, man. He measured that baby. Good new ball.
So Eric Hosmer's first and most recent major league home runs are here at Yankee Stadium. One and one to Kendrys Morales.
So before I can tell you he's got an 89 to 93 mile-an-hour fastball, slider, and a split finger, Haas jumped him.
Two balls and 1 strike. Two and two. Hit sharply to Gregorius at short. 1 down.
Check a side swing out with Haas. Look at that flamingo kick. He brought his hips up, loaded them nicely with that. He loaded it up and he barreled it. Oh, yeah. I was talking to Paul O'Neill, former Yankee great. And he's their color guy. And all I had to do was saying, I just got Haas out of my mouth, and Paul O'Neill goes, that guy's dangerous. And I said, that's a good selection of words right there. Dangerous. He is. I mean, I worry about pitchers. I worry about him hitting stuff back up the middle. Hosmer, when he gets extended on pitches that are down like that, he can be dangerous.
And how many times have we said this year when he has swung and missed, he overswung? Not very often this year.
Not this year. You know, last year early in the season, I remember, man, that front foot keeps pulling him off. He's jumping too far out with that front foot. I think he's got that down now. Literally, he picks it up and sets it down. In the meantime, he's loading his hips, but his head's not moving. He stays perfectly still. See if Alice can stay hot. Homer, single, and a walk.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
And the hitter will tell you, watch this nice tight shot. Haas knew it. Look at him. Oh, man. See, that's why they try to jam him. When you get those long arms extended and You get some whip-like action on that bat.
Teixeira to the bag, and they're 2 down. 5 years ago, this upcoming Wednesday, this happened. Look at that young guy. Second deck with from right to left, older brother Mike, mom Ileana, dad Mike Sr. Ball 1 to Salvador Perez. Our Cricket Wireless something to smile about, and it was. One on Salvi. Hosmer, in addition to the 6 home runs, which is second to Mike Moustakas, he is hitting .336. And now leads the Royals. He has taken over the team lead with 16 RBIs. And he has the best haircut on the team.
For sure. Well, Drew Butera would argue.
Well, I didn't say haircut.
Okay.
Hairstyle, I should say. All right. Hosmer has homered in a second consecutive game. To the bottom of the 8th, the Royals are down by 4. And the Yankees have scored 5 of the 6 runs on our Jeep drives of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately for Chris Young, he couldn't get the pop-ups. He got a few earlier in the game, but man, they weren't missing.
And now Dylan G has gone 4 1/3 innings in relief. 56 pitches. That is not a season high. Through 63 on the 23rd of April. So he's going to try and go 5 1/3 to really take the strain off the Royals bullpen tonight. That's pretty remarkable if he can finish off this inning. If you're looking to the games ahead, as Teixeira strikes out on 3 pitches, you start looking ahead. Your starter goes 2 2/3 innings and you only need 1 reliever. That's a small victory.
You better believe it is. And 3 pitches it took to retire Teixeira. Slider, changeup, and a 2-seamer. Finishing strong. I thought he was done.
Salvi will run out of room.
He had Chin Ming Wong warming up in the pen.
There's a Aroldis Chapman. So we figured we were going to see him no matter what the score was, as he's back from a suspension and eligible to pitch in a big league game for the first time tonight. One and one. Now to Infante in shallow right field. 2 down. Beltran's 2 for 4. Just in case is warming up. He should get a nice ovation if he comes into a game during this series.
I bet he will.
This is Ben Gamel. He took over in right field for Dustin Ackley. And that's off of Escobar's glove. That'll be a base hit for Gamel. So he's on with 2 down. And that is major league hit number 1 for Ben Gamel. Older brother Matt played in the big leagues for a while with the Milwaukee Brewers. He was their third baseman. So there you go. Ben Gamel, May 9th, 2016, with a base hit to left field against Dylan G. He will remember that for the rest of his life.
And will that go down as a pinch hit? It came on for defense. Still. I mean, that's extra bonus points if it was a pinch hit. Steve Donahue, longtime trainer. He's got that baby. He's going to ride it up right now. Most of the time they take their time to take it on back in the clubhouse. He's going to ride it up. Gene Monahan, the longtime trainer that Donahue took his place, wrote my first big league hit up, and he did a nice job. Good writing on there. But he had to go
on the ball or a piece of tape?
No, on the ball. They write it up officially. But he's got his on tape. I don't know what that is.
Off. So he's finding out who the pitcher was. He can say Dylan G.
Anyway, Monahan had to go down come out of the dugout, go down the stands as I doinked a little bleeder over Buckner's head. Bill Buckner, Al Nipper, and it bounced into the stands, and he went and got the ball down there and picked it out for me, and I still have it. It's beautifully written, very nice.
Does it say Doinker on it?
No.
No. Okay.
He could have. It wouldn't have hurt my feelings.
Very high. Escobar wants it. And the Royals will get Aroldis Chapman in the top of the 9th inning. Infante, Cuthbert, and Dyson are coming up. on the ribbon boards at Yankee Stadium, and that's appropriate for the guy who's coming on to pitch, Aroldis Chapman, in a non-save situation, but it's his Yankees debut. Kia puts us in the driver's seat where Chapman has been for his major league career, the fastest to 500 career strikeouts with 15.4 per 9 innings. He made a National League All-Star team 4 times. And even though the Yankees were in very good shape last year with Betances and Miller at the back end of the bullpen, Chapman, before his suspension was announced, was named the Yankees closer. So Andrew Miller, who has saved 6, goes into a setup role, and now it's Chapman's job to close the games out, and he'll do so with a 4-run lead in the top of the 9th.
Well, you know, there'll be some around that debate whether Miller should remain their closer, as he's been their closer the last few seasons. But you know, when the boss says Chapman's going to be my closer, then he's the closer. Blazing fastball.
.100 miles an hour with his first pitch as a Yankee. What do Aroldis Chapman and Aaron Hicks have in common? Aaron Hicks is in center field for the Yankees.
Couldn't tell you.
Both have had a throw in the major leagues registered at 105 miles an hour.
Wow.
Chapman on the mound and Hicks in left field earlier this year. 101. Now, Chapman's was with an actual radar gun. Hicks was done by measurement, where he was, the distance between him and his target, and the time it took the ball to leave his hand to get to the target. 105.5 miles an hour. 2 balls and 2 strikes. This is what 105 looks like from the outfield. And that's what Danny Valencia looks like when he's out.
Well, look, he had 3 or 4 steps to get behind that one. Pitcher just has his windup.
Sam Abramson, our associate producer, getting that Aaron Hicks throw out of the vault very quickly. That away, Sammy. So 3-2 on Infante. Omar has a 2-hit game. 97. So he took a little bit off of it and strikes out Infante. Now again, this is a non-save situation. But the last time the Royals saw Chapman, it was a save situation. Royals were down by 1 on August 8th of last year, and Ben Zobrist jumped on a hanging slider, tied the game. The Royals would go on to win that in extra innings. And Chapman at that time had a major league record, 56 consecutive saves at home before the Zobrist home run.
Well, to make things worse is he not just possesses a 95 to 105 mile an hour fastball. He cuts the fastball. He has a curve and a splitter. He's got some other pitches, but you know, you don't really need them. Maybe fastball slider is about all he needs. He's got a slider too, a little cutter.
He was suspended for the first 30 games for violating Major League Baseball's domestic violence policy. There were no criminal charges, but Major League Baseball's investigation revealed details that they thought warranted a suspension. Jose Reyes of the Rockies is in a similar situation right now. The Yankees have played 29 games. They've also had a rainout, so that was counted as a game, even though it wasn't played. 101. And I'll bet Schessler has never seen that before. Many other Royals have never seen that before. So, with 2 down in the 9th inning, Ned Yost says, "Hey, Paulo, grab a bat."
That's not good, really. Now, Paulo, he probably wants to hit. There's no doubt about it, but he starts him off with a slider.
Ned did the same thing, if you remember, in the All-Star game to Mike Moustakas. Remember, Mike Moustakas' at-bat in the All-Star game was against Chapman.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was even dirtier.
Brought back memories of, remember that All-Star game when Randy Johnson was pitching to John Kruk and sailed a ball over his head up against the screen. And
so I'm sure McCann hasn't seen that.
Paulo, deep center field, triple for Hicks.
He can't run a triple here. Oh, nice.
Hadaway, Paulo.
Oh, man, I thought the minute he hit that, I thought triple, because, you know, but when you're down in the 9th, you can't try for the triple. Short. Look at that ball. Man, that ball was ankle high. Chapman's like, how did he hit that? Watch this reaction. Oh, that's beautiful. McCann was going to catch it on the ground. Oh, that's beautiful.
He's a pretty runner, isn't he?
Oh, man, and a pretty swing. He just dropped the head of that bat right down there on him. That ball was laser lined to 408. Anyway, the 2 pitches before that, McCann, after he threw the ball back to Chapman, he's checking his glove and the strings in his glove. He's making sure they're all working right, because he's not used to it either. He's checking him again. He's making sure. Hey, look now. You got to make sure that you keep all them strings intact.
Pass Gregorius, and the Royals will get a run against Chapman in the 9th inning. That's Escobar's first hit. It is 6-3.
You know, we talked about how hard their throwers are, Betances, Miller, and now Chapman, and how the Royals like to hit up them fastballs. And that's 2 back-to-back balls that were squared up right down the middle, and that's how you do it. You short swings. Cuthbert, he swung too hard. He was trying to kill it. You just got to take a nice short swing up there and let his velocity provide the power off your bat. Paulo, that was all reaction there. He just reacted to that slider down there. That might earn him some big points.
All right, so if Kane can get on, this could come down to Chapman and Hosmer, with Hosmer the potential tying run. Slider for a strike. Escobar will take second base. No stolen base. The Yankees were not concerned with him and not holding him at first. Back to Chapman. Lobs it over to first base, and that ends the game. So the Yankees take game 1, and for the first time since July 23rd of 2014, the Royals have dipped below 500. They are at 15-16. We'll be right back.